Was there anything orthodox about the Blue Max?
I don't know. No, yeah, not really. I mean, you know, it got so that you could, back in those days, you could actually do anything you wanted, and we took it right to the limit, you know.
Ray, your crew looks pretty confident.
They're all tired. They've got to work. Harry here's really got to work out this weekend. Him and Fred, the other one behind us. Everyone's worked hard for this race. It's really been a hard one for us, but it'll be worth it if we win.
Now the body is down, and they seem to be ready. This crucial moment, more than $9,000 will go to the winner of this funny car final. The question is the engine and Beadle's car up to it? Will it be a first ever for Ray Beadle, or will it be an unprecedented third straight for Don Prudhomme, who's driving for not only himself, but the U.S. Army? Standing by. Very close. And Beadle surges ahead to dethrone Prudhomme. And the three straight...
Yeah, actually, when we got back from Indy, where Dale crashed, and Harry went on his way, he was burned out, which we had a rigorous schedule, like 100 dates a year. And so, you know, it was easy to get burned out, and Harry had done that before for a long time, and so he was flat burned out. So he went on down the road. Well, as fate would have it, and luck, you know, the best day of our lives is when he went on his head at Indy, and we got back from England, Raymond and I and his wife, and we go, hey, let's pick up Dale. There's nobody better, you know, so we did.
An incredible rebuild job. They stripped this car to the bare chassis. They put a new engine in, a new parachute on, new safety belts after that devastating fire in the previous round. A tribute to the crew of Dale Emery, Fred Miller, and D. Gantt to get this car to the position that it is right now, running and doing its burnout.
Well, I think the exciting part was Beadle let us do whatever we wanted. I mean, you know, we could, he left the car up to us, and he did what he did, and he was good at it. We were coming out of Dallas, Texas, when every television program, Dallas was the biggest show, and this and that, and so it just kind of blended in. Here we are with our cowboy hats and so on and so forth. But I myself, personally, I always thought, I'm watching some of these drivers that I knew pretty well, and you know, they were kind of, I thought, well, anybody can drive one of these things, but not anybody can tune one of these things. And I kept thinking that these guys are, you know, these are the guys that make it happen. So I thought they should get a little more recognition, you know.
3 cards. No straights or flushes. Like a pair is excellent hand, you know, it's ace, but no straights or flushes. 3 cards is guts, is all it is. 3 card guts.
You're smart enough. All right, yeah. You can't do it.
You got it. Read them and weep.
What you got? You got parents? You lose, son. You lose.
5.
5.
Hey. Pay up, jelly roll.
Right, is everybody going to Martin for Saturday night? Is that what the deal is?
Oh, and Martin.
Yeah, we're
Martin. Yeah, that'll be a good showdown. Yeah, you know, Snake and Meyer.
Billy's probably someplace dreaming that he outrun Prudhomme.
All right, now. Yeah. The thing with Meyer is that he thinks, and his dad has him talked into this deal. He's going to kill me for saying this. I mean, he's into this positive thinking deal. Oh, yeah. I mean, you know, and say if you're a runner or if you're a any other kind of athlete, a swimmer or whatever, positive thinking. I mean, you need positive thinking in anything, right? I mean, I can go for that, but in drag racing now, you got a whole different story here. I mean, you got the machine there. I mean, you know,
when you're in racing, you got to think positive.
You think positive. You know, even if you get a little down, there's a little spark there, but that doesn't mean, you know, that the rod's not going to fall out. I'm thinking positive, the rods are thinking negative, and then your history, right?
Well, these New York guys.
Hello, Fred. McClellan, what's happening?
Not much.
You going to play or what?
Nope, I got to go to the airport. I'm going to be in the airport in about an hour.
Waterbed.
We're going to get it on the side. Watch one short, a little on the side.
Yeah, I need a snake.
Snake, what's happening? Deal you in?
Anybody got change for 1,000?
That was the point of the whole deal, is there wasn't any boundaries on anything. Do what you do best and let the other guy, they knew what they wanted to do, let them do their deal. And it's all, the whole deal is a chemistry thing, getting the right guys together doing the right activities.
Were you like the voice of reason in all of this?
Well, I just, you know, the racing deal. I mean, the Blue Max, I've known it for a long time. I knew when Harry Schmidt first put it together, and we used to go over and see him, and I always thought that name really was a great name for a car and everything. And then going with Beadle, I mean, it was a great deal for me. I thought it was a good name, and the car always run good. But when we started out, it didn't run good.
Moving into the staging area, waiting the green light. They got it. And something apparently happened to McEwen as Beadle breezes in with the victory. Raymond Beadle, the funny car eliminator champion, and there's his happy crew.
Just amazing. Tom McEwen had the choice of lanes. He took the right lane, and he goes up in smoke off the starting line. Beadle's off to a clean win.
Anything unusual happened back there in the starting line? Well, I hate to say it, but that's probably our sorriest run of the weekend. We dropped the cylinder again, but I don't know what happened to Tom. He must have smoked the tires. Y'all probably know more than I do.
You took off pretty good, though.
Yeah, the car left good, but it went out and dropped the cylinder, and it just never did pick it up. So, like I said, we ran good and we won, so that's all that counts.
This has got to be the climax to a great year, which started kind of slow for you.
Well, not kind of slow. It's probably the worst year we've ever had. But it is really a good finish. It's the first time we've ever stopped with a win, so we hope we'll start off with a win next year.
We got a new car, and obviously we had a problem with it, but we went maybe it was a little over a year without qualifying at another NHRA event. Now, we ran a lot of races, still match racing and whatever, but you know, it was killing us, and we had a problem with the car. We found out it was the fuel tank. But yeah, literally, you couldn't name a handful of people out there that knew that we went a whole year without qualifying. It'd be hard to believe.
Were you ready to quit?
When?
When you guys weren't qualifying.
I was the last guy on the bandwagon. They went through that, and then I came in. Because I was working for other guys at the time.
Were you ready to quit?
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, we found out what it was, and we went to Canada and got rained out. And we come to Seattle, and I even told Beadle when he come into Seattle, I said, if this don't work, when we get back home, I'm done, you know. And luckily, we run Seattle, and we won the deal with the 32 Funny Car Show, and then went to Boise and won that, went to Spokane and won that, and then we went home and come back to Indy and run our first 5-second run.
Raymond Beadle of Dallas, Texas, the famed Blue Max. It's been a long season, and it was just a couple of weeks ago when Beadle moved ahead of Prudhomme by 324 points when he won the Fall Nationals title at Seattle International Raceway. Raymond also winning the Summer Nationals in his quest for the lead in the World Championship Series. His competition on the line right now is Jeb Adolph, and Adolph is having problems with Pat Johnson's car. He gets the break that he needed. A single in the first round for Raymond Beadle, and the all-important World Championship Series points keeps mounting for the Blue Max.
Dave, the Blue Max crew walking out to the edge of the racetrack, all but praying
for Tom the Mongoose McEwen. McEwen assured him, I'll get him for you guys. We'll see.
And they're on the starting line finishing their burnout procedure. Tom McEwen, the Mongoose, Don Prudhomme, the Snake. They've met many times before, but for Don Prudhomme, this is the most critical in his quest for the world champion title. The burnouts are finished. They're approaching the starting line at Ontario Motor Speedway. And it'll be Tom McEwen out first. Prudhomme smokes the tires. It's over.
It is absolute bedlam down here. The Blue Max crew has gone crazy. They are the world champions. How do you feel right now?
Well, we're glad we won, but like I told Snake, I'm sorry we just had to end it up with a track like this where we both didn't really get to run for it. But we've always wanted this, and it's something we dreamed about. But
it's everybody's dream.
Yeah. So
good for business, too.
Yeah, it won't hurt it at all. Thank you a lot.
Number 1, Raymond Beadle and the Blue Max.
One guy, but our guy, Raymond Beadle, the Blue Max, he was the first guy to, a lot of us were starting to sell T-shirts at the track, but he was the first guy to have halter tops. It was the Blue Max halter tops. And the girls would actually, right? They'd take it off and put a halter top on. And
they'd be standing at the flags. We had these flags around our cars. And they'd be, hey, can I have a free halter top? And so they'd come on in and they'd leave their husband or their boyfriend outside. Yeah. And they'd come in the trailer and they would take their top off and wanted you to fit them with this folder. And of course, Don and I, we were all business, so we let Beadle do that.
Yeah, we let Beadle do it, exactly.
What was the magic to the marketing of the Blue Max halter tops?
Obviously, Beadle knew what he was doing when it came to that end of the whole thing. Marketing. Let's call it marketing. I mean, the deal is the name sold itself, so you just put it on a T-shirt, and of course it would, it sold, and then when you start winning, it sells more. But you needed something for the women, and halter tops were, back when that's when women wore halter tops, and we put the logo on it, but. You sold T-shirts and halter tops. Hey, try them on, get one free. As simple as that. And
but a crew member had to be present for the trial.
Of course, everybody was present. There was a line at the trailer.
Can I help?
Yeah.
So let me.
Well, Beatles one that fit them, by the way.
Yeah.
Let me make sure I'm thinking on the right lines here. The guys actually let their girls go up in the trailer with you to try on the halter top?
They wanted a halter top.
Yeah, actually they did, and it was, I understand it was a little bizarre, but guess what, it worked.
Yes, I get one tit in there. But that's what I was wearing when that picture was taken, with all of us in front of the car. Yeah.
So back in the 70s, in today's modern world,
you couldn't do anything now.
Oh, yeah, well, you couldn't do that. Yeah, actually, to start with, they wouldn't allow it, and secondly, it was just being in the right place at the right time. It sold itself. When you're winning, everybody loves a winner.
As a quartet, were you more like twins that you just were so co-joined?
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
Tell me about that.
Well, after Fred had started saying something, I knew exactly what he was going to say before he said it, and vice versa. And you end up living on the road with somebody as close as a marriage. You can anticipate whatever they're going to do, and we all three clicked from when we raced together before, back in the 70s. So it was
yeah, right. I think we had worked together on Jake's car and whatever. So I knew when we got back together again, it was just business as usual. I mean, everybody knew what they had to do. It was no You know, there was it was
no
easy.
Ego deals going on.
Oh, no, it wasn't. Oh, you know, oh, this guy's that. This guy. It wasn't just you did like one of Larry Dixon's guys asked me one day, what did you do on the car? I said, well, whatever the other guy didn't do. You know, it was as simple as that. I mean, like when just was Dale and I, you know, what did you do on the car? Well, you did everything. You know, you crawled out from underneath and did this, did that. There was only 2 guys. You had to do everything on the car.
Well, you got to realize I've known Dave since '69. He was with Willie Borsch when I met him, and when I went with Bob Regal and I went with the Jigs deal, I always hired a D. And then when we had the Jigs deal, Fred never been drag racing before, and we took him along with us. And we all just sort of stayed together all the time.
There's too many chiefs and not enough Indians. Were you guys all Indians or all chiefs?
Whatever it took.
Yeah, there was that. There wasn't even you know, that wasn't even a factor. You know, there wasn't like there was a bunch of egos and oh, this guy's, you know, doing this and this guy's doing that. You know, when we started later on, when we brought some other people on, like Kevin Hendricks and guys like that, who was a wonderful kid that worked for us and a great mechanic. He but you'd bring somebody in and a kid and he'd want to go to work and whatever, you know, and I'd say, look, if you have to wipe the tires off and the wheels, or you have to put air in the tires or do this, you know, if you tell you to do something, I'm not telling you to do something because I want to be the boss, because if you don't do it, I have to do it. So it's just a matter of everybody has to do something, and it's not somebody's trying to be the boss. Here's what has to get done.
It's a convertible. The roof has come off. The windshield is missing. Raymond Beadle and the Blue Max crew are going to be faced with a monumental repair job to get that car ready for the final. Well, in the Blue Max pit, crews are hard at work. Kenny Bernstein, a fellow competitor who was eliminated in an earlier round, has volunteered one of his spare bodies to the Blue Max crew. They've brought it over to the Blue Max pit, and while they're sawing the top of the Blue Max off, this plastic body is being sawed off. The body from Bernstein's car is being tailored to fit.
We're taking my spare body that we carry in my trailer at all times for things like this, and we're going to take the roof off of this spare body and we're going to put it on the Blue Max on top of their car so they can go win the race.
The scene is hectic in the Blue Max pit. Racing Ingenuity cutting up a tray to make reinforcing straps. Even Raymond Beadle is working. Raymond, will the car be as good being fixed this way as it would ordinarily?
Well, you know, if we had a little more time, we could fix it a lot better. I mean, if the car runs real fast again, it could possibly blow the roof off again, but I don't think so. I think we can get on there strong enough. But you know, the car just run real fast, and it just right in the lights. I just fixed to get the parachute, and it blew the windshield out, and the roof come off.
How will you anchor the new roof on the old?
We'll just pop rivet it, and then we'll put some aluminum back behind it, and we're going to put a little bit of fiberglass on it. It'll set up pretty good. I think it'll be all right.
A confident man, Raymond Beadle. He usually does not work on the car, but the crew is working furiously on the car to get the body done. This is Steve Gibbs, competition director of the National Hot Rod Association, who had the authority to either say yes or no on Raymond Beadle's repair job. Steve, is that repair job safe?
We feel it's safe. Our tech directors have looked at the car, and in their opinion, it is safe, and there's some good mechanics working on that car right now, and I think that the car is safe for this run, and we have all intention of letting it run.
It was one of those deals as he was way more than either category of that. He's just a good guy, and he'd do for you if you did for him. And he's one of those kind of guys you'd call up 2 o'clock in the morning, say, hey, I need 10 grand by 6 o'clock. Where do I send it?
And it was then that it happened. With incredible skill, Beadle regained control and drove the car to a stop. The crowd waited to see whether Beadle had been injured. And as he climbed out, untouched, the crowd roared its approval.
No kind of problem. He's just a good guy that understood people real well. And he was was great to be around, and he was one of the first mass marketing guys to take the drag racing out of the dirty T-shirt deal. And okay, let's put on some clean uniform. Let's make Pete professional.
Put yourself in the driver's seat and think how fast all this is really happening. From what appeared to be a normal start, the 2,500 horsepower race car was thrown out of control and rolled over on its top. At this point, there's little the driver can do but crouch down in the protective roll cage, hold on tight, and ride it out. When the car slid across the track and slammed into the opposite guardrail, the fiberglass body tore off the chassis, leaving Beadle and the car back on four wheels. When the body came off, the parachute deployed, helping slow the car. Beadle quickly recovered and literally started driving the car again, this time bringing it to a safe stop.
All right, Raymond Beadle, first of all, are you okay?
Yeah, I'm okay. It just hurt my feelings worse than anything else.
What happened? We couldn't tell from where I was.
Well, the car went out and it shook a little bit, and it had like a slow drift, and I thought I could bring it around, and it just dug in on the one side, and when it did, it just flipped it. There's nothing I could do.
Well, that's the first time you've been on your head in a long time, maybe ever.
Well, we went on our head once several years ago, but I got to say it was my fault. I stayed with it a little longer. You know, we was trying so hard to win that round. We've slid around before and had no problem, but like I said, it just dug in.
And the car doesn't look that badly damaged.
No, it's all right. I think it rolled once or so.
Okay, I'll let you join your wife, Holly, because she's obviously concerned as your condition. He's fine.
She's worse than I am.
Raymond Beadle, sometimes I think he has ice water for blood, a cool, calm individual.
Yeah, one thing about Beadle, he was always, like, whenever we went somewhere, we stayed in, you know, in a hotel. Like, he didn't stay at the Hilton and we were at the Motel 6. I mean, when you went out to eat, he was there he was just one of the guys, you know. And the good part about it, he was good at what he did on his end, and as far as driving, he was a money driver. The bigger the race, the more the money, the better he was. You know, he could, if you talked to him, you wouldn't think so, you know, because he walked slow, talked slow, but he was always thinking, always thinking. And, you know, with Raymond was Raymond. I mean, you know, he's running the car over here, and on this side, he's got this going on, and he's got that going on, but he always had something going on, and it was like, you know, sometimes you wanted to kill him, but, you know, well, one thing about Raymond, and I think these guys will agree with me, I never once heard him raise his voice. Did you?
No. Way too laid back. Never got mad about anything.
And I don't care how, you know, like we said, you didn't qualify for a year, you think, name somebody else out here in the pit area that wouldn't have raised their voice. You think John Force would have raised his voice? Yeah, or Snake?
Snake wouldn't have said a word.
Yeah, you know, but no, the guy I never heard him raise his voice unless he was laughing. That'd be about it.
Well, even when we was having trouble, it was just me and Fred.
Oh.
A lot of times he'd come out there and, I mean, he'd help us pull the heads off and stuff like he'd work just like we did. I mean, he was, you know, he knew we was trying to fix it, but we didn't know how at the time.
If it worked out right, there were nights when I can remember at Orange County when we got right down to the Don Perdome, the Snake, racing Raymond Beadle and the Blue Max, and they're out there doing short ups, little chirpies and barking at each other, and I was announcing and everybody on their feet, and my God, I felt like I was, I don't even know, the great right orator. I mean, it was really fun talking to the crowds and getting them all whipped up, and they wouldn't believe me now. They got whipped up.
I guess that was all compounded when you Raymond with Bill Donor.
Cool.
Was that a volatile combination? Even for you guys that had to be on the edge.
Yeah.
Tell me about it.
Well, I'll let these guys chime in too, but that was a good and a bad situation. I mean, you know, it was, to start with, yeah, Donor took care of us, obviously. And we would run that whole West Coast swing, and we'd make a lot of money doing it. A lot more money than we made we'd get more for 3 runs than we would to win the World Championship on the NHRA side. 3 runs on a Saturday night. We'd make more money than we did on, and that didn't count T-shirt sales.
Yeah, I was going to say that.
Yeah, it didn't count that.
Put in the T-shirt.
But yeah, I mean, the downside of it was, Donor could talk Beadle into doing anything. Anything. I mean, you know, we're over here doing it, you know, and do this. Oh, I want you to, you know, do a burnout around the tower or something. You know, I mean, he could talk Beadle into doing anything. It was kind of bizarre, you know. But Donor put on the best races in the whole world, so we were lucky enough to, you know, be right in the middle of it. And plus, he had good racetracks. You could really, you know, you could really fly. Yeah, you know. And the first year I went with him, we ran 100 dates, 100 dates, and we ran IHRA and NHRA.
And match race.
And match race. So it was, and went to England.
Yeah. You had to do all that to go to the Nationals.
So.
You were telling me about the time that you guys got out of a racetrack with your dear life. Can you tell me about that one?
Yeah, that was, and these guys, that was me and Harry Schmidt. And we were at Eugene, Oregon running Jungle Gym. It was Harry and I and Raymond. And we made two runs, and then they had a curfew. Well, Donor gets up and announces that you know, they're not going to make the last run. And it was like, wow, the crowd, you know, they stormed the tower or whatever. So we're over there working on the car, and Raymond runs in the trailer, comes out, had his gun with him, tucked it, put it in his fire suit pants, and ran back up there. And we go, well, something's going on up here. He comes back, says, load this stuff up and get out of here in a hurry. And they were burning the tower down. And so he and Donor left with the money. They were gone. And here's Jungle and us and the crews, and we're loading stuff like mad, and we hauled ass out to, Donor and them went out the back gate, we went out the front. And they were still trying to control the guys burning on the tower and whatever. But yeah, that was a true deal. Well, yeah, you know when the time is up. You know, we started, what happened to Raymond, he got into NASCAR. Well, you know,
the first chink,
right off the bat, and then he brings on a kid like Tim, and Beadle had a knack of putting people together, and they might have been a ragtag crew, but you know, he went to NASCAR. You know, I introduced him to Tim Richmond. He hires him, drives. Their first year out, they win. Well, the NASCAR thing started. You know, NHRA and NASCAR back then, when we were in the 70s, were, you know, they were pretty much going like this. Well, all of a sudden, you know, NASCAR takes off big time and this and that, and the money started going to NASCAR. Well, Beadle followed the money. You know, he kept thinking, wow, you know, he's over here. And what happened is, you know, we used to, if we needed to test, we went and tested. If we needed to do this, if we needed to buy this, if we needed to, there was no big deal. You know, he was always there. But pretty soon Beadle was in Charlotte all the time. And all of a sudden it started, you know, taken away from the, you know, what we were always doing. Then he was really in Charlotte all the time. So, you know, he kind of went off, you know, with the NASCAR thing, but he followed the money, you know, and then finally it came to a point, he told me, you know, I've got the most famous, or one of the most famous race cars in the whole world and won all these races, and I can't find a sponsor for the Blue Max. I've got a Winston Cup car over here, and I had to turn down 3 sponsors and give them to Rick Hendricks because I didn't have enough cars to run them. The sponsors were giving it away in NASCAR. He couldn't get a sponsor for the Blue Max, so Beadle followed the money. You can't blame him for that, but it did. That's what happened. And the next thing you know, we went our separate ways, and that was just it. And he was successful in that with, you know, he put a ragtag crew together, and now they're all crew chiefs and won championships at NASCAR. Guys that were sweeping the floor, and Larry McReynolds swept the floor out of the shop in Dallas, you know. And he had guys that, but he had a knack for putting a group of guys together.
Good instinct for people. Yeah, figure out who.
Yeah.
Just a natural deal. You can feel it when it gets to that point. You go, I think we about did as much as we could do together, and then everybody's with age. more so you look at doing other things, and it just ends up you wander off into oblivion.
We was working along, and I knew he was losing interest because he had the NASCAR deal, and he wasn't spending much time with us, and also we wasn't getting much money. The NASCAR was getting everything, and plus we had another, Ronnie Young was driving the car then, and so after a while I talked to him, and we just come back from Michigan, and we won 2 match races up there, and when we got back, he took the money, and we didn't get to spend nothing on the car, and I just told him, I said, I had a long talk with him. He liked the NASCAR deal, and like he said, he couldn't get a sponsor for the Blue Max, and I had a long talk with him, and that's what I told him. I said, we can't get a sponsor. I said, and you're in the NASCAR. I said, you ought to sell the thing while it's got a good name. I said, don't wait until it sits around and don't do, you know, we're not doing nothing, and it's hard to sell in it. And he agreed, and he said it's not really what he wanted to do, but he said it's practical. And so about a month later, he ended up selling the thing.
Yeah, it was a big piece of my racing history was with these guys here, and obviously Beadle running the whole outfit. And it was truly a brothers in arms kind of a deal. And Beadle was just, he was too good a guy to go that era. That's for darn sure. It's a damn shame is what it was.
It was tough. He, you know, I missed talking to him, you know, on the phone. I mean, I didn't call him every week or whatever. You know, I call him, and but you know, you always wanted to call and tell him, oh, guess what? So and so did this, or you know what Force did, and you know, Beadle, he always had some insight on that. But yeah, it was tough, and you know, when I got that phone call, you know, it wasn't good. You know, it was, you know, he was a big part of my life. I wouldn't be here right now.
But he was a great guy and a good driver, and you just had to tell him what to do, and he'd do it. Remember the Blue Max team as a good running team and had a good name, and it stood out in front of everybody, and we all had a good time, but we also made a lot of good friends. I mean, it wasn't like we just stuck with our team. I mean, we'd have fun with other teams and other guys that race and stuff like that.
We did the best job we could do, and you know, good races. That's really the bottom line of the whole deal, and we had a good time doing it.
Well, I think the main thing is we gave them their money's worth up in the stands, and that's why I think to this day they still, you know, winning's a big deal.
Willie Meyer can't back up. He's got problems. If he comes across that center line any bit, he is out of competition. He's driving the car back up to the start.
We gave the fans their money worth on and off the track, and you know, that was the big deal. That's why they remember us. You know, some guys win a lot, but nobody cares. You know, they weren't that good of personalities. You know, they were. But you know, I think we had it all between Raymond and all of us here, and whatever, and the whole atmosphere.
Do you guys worry that every time you see each other, it could be the last?
No. You press on, come hell or high water.